Hey everybody, it's Mr. Greg from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord. Thank you for joining me today. I'm a huge fan of using technology in the classroom, so I'm excited to have this opportunity to share some of my favorite things of tech in the classroom with you and introduce you to the newest piece of technology in our classroom, augmented reality. Before we get started, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is how much time should your students spend interacting with technology during the day? So let me just say, I am not one of these teachers who believes that our entire school day should be using technology. I think technology serves a powerful purpose in our classroom. I think our students should be exposed to the technology. But I also am a big believer in traditional methods, paper, pencil, crayons, markers, paint, books. So I think it's all about finding the right balance between technology and more traditional, interactive, hands-on type learning. I hope this webinar provides you some fun, easy, manageable ways to bring some technology into your classroom. Anytime I do professional development, I always like to remind my audience that I'm not an expert. I'm a kindergarten teacher who spends my day in the classroom with 19 unique, diverse, and energetic 5- and 6-year-olds. I share the same experiences as teachers everywhere. I'm just blessed to have a platform to share my experiences. I'm going to share with you what works in my classroom, what works for my students, and what works for me. My hope is that you leave this webinar with one usable idea that you can implement in your classroom tomorrow. Trust me, I know how frustrating it can be to sit through a PD session, a workshop, or an in-service and feel like you didn't gain anything. So my challenge for you tonight is to find one usable idea, or as my friend Oprah says, find your aha moment. So let's get started and let's talk about this technology. I know that sometimes technology can be scary and it can be intimidating. And I know that sometimes, sadly, in our schools and our classrooms, our technology resources are limited. The infrastructure isn't there. The wireless doesn't work. We don't have wireless. I get it. In my classroom, I have one iPad, which is my personal iPad. I have one iPod Touch, again, my personal device. I have 3 working student computers, a smartboard. I have my augmented reality, Letters Alive, and a GoPro camera. So that's the technology that I have in my classroom. And I share that with you so that as we go through this webinar, you can understand that even with limited technology, you can still bring technology into your classroom and expose your students and engage them with technology. So throughout this webinar, I'm going to show you many apps, tips, tricks, and share ideas for using tech, even if you do have that limited access. Hopefully, I will push you to try something out of your comfort zone and bring some more technology into your classroom. So let's get started with my favorite things of technology in the classroom. Favorite thing number 1, augmented reality. So I want to start off with our newest and perhaps one of the coolest pieces of technology in our classroom. This is called Letters Alive, and it's from my friends at Alive Studios. Letters Alive is an augmented reality software and hardware that we use to teach literacy skills. So what is augmented reality? The easiest way for me to explain this technology is that it's like 3D without the glasses. I was introduced to Letters Alive and augmented reality over the summer at the National I Teach K conference. And all that week, we kept hearing this elephant. And by Friday, we had heard this elephant enough. And so I told the mister that I'm going to investigate what this elephant is and where it's coming from. So I walked to this booth from Alive Studios, and they introduced me to augmented reality through Letters Alive. It was one of those things that within mere seconds of them demonstrating the software and the program to me, I had to have it. It was that mind-blowing. And I knew if I was that amazed by what it could do, I knew my students would be blown away. So, thankfully, I now have Alive Studios Letters Alive in my classroom. So the way that it works is that you place the letter card under the camera. The Letters Alive comes with a special document camera. You place this letter card under the camera. The software does its magic, and it reads the image on the card, and the animal on the card pops out in 3D. As you can see, the elephant it looks like he's coming out of the screen. There's really no way to explain adequately how amazingly cool this is. It truly looks like the animal is coming out of our smartboard. It really is phenomenal. You don't believe me? Just watch the reaction of my students to Letters Alive. So you can clearly see that my students are engaged and very excited about the peacock. And that was the reaction every day as we introduced a new letter and a new sound and got to be introduced to the new animals. The great thing about Letters Alive in my classroom is that the students are getting a visual and an auditory experience with letters and sounds. For my students who are EL learners, they're getting a powerful vocabulary lesson, because they're getting that living visual of an animal. They're learning the name of the animal, which they're able to connect with the sound. They're learning the words, they're seeing the animal. All around, it's a tremendous opportunity for learning when you're working with EL students and just all of your students. One of the great things about Letters Alive is that it comes with a video card. And for each animal, when you have the animal card laying on the table, you put the video card down, and then a video pops up and shows the actual animal in its habitat. What amazes me is that every day when we would do Letters Alive, my kids would banter back and forth and have little discussions. Oh, is that real? Is that not real? Oh, those animals aren't real. That peacock isn't real. And then I would put the video card down, and they would get to see an actual peacock. And so they would know that the peacocks were real. So we're also getting a little bit of that science. You can hear the kids having debates. So using Letters Alive in our classroom has been tremendous for our vocabulary and language development, as well as learning the letters and sounds. Bear? Better watch. What is he? What is he? What sound? What sound? Buck. What sound? Say bear. Say bear. What sound? Using Letters Alive has been a great way to introduce each letter and sound to my class. Every day, they're so engaged and excited. They even started debating with themselves and discussing what the animal might be that day. It's great to hear them engaging in conversations about our learning and doing it independently and on their own. Another way that we're using Letters Alive is to build our reading fluency and working on complete sentences. Using the included word cards, we build a sentence using the animal card for the day. Then we read the sentence. We can point out capital letters and punctuation, as well as highlight sight words.
Run.
What's he doing? Read the sentence. Using Letters Alive and augmented reality has shown tremendous results in research studies. Letters Alive has shown that Letters Alive helps with classroom management. It helps students with attention difficulties stay engaged. And the computer-generated voice actually helps our ELL students by removing the effects of accents and regional dialogues. So research studies are great, but as teachers, we want to know what impact is it having in a classroom with an actual teacher and with actual kids. How does it work? How is it helping? Where's the data? So this is my data from the beginning of the school year until about a week ago or so. So as you can see, the beginning of the year to now, you can see the tremendous amount of growth in my students' ability to recognize letters and sounds. As of right now, 90% of the students in my class have 100% letter recognition. And I give a lot of credit to that, to using Letters Alive and making learning letters that engaging, all-around experience for my students. So how do I incorporate Letters Alive in my classroom? So I use it, as you can see through those videos, whole group. As we're moving into guided reading and some more small group instruction, one-on-one instruction, I plan to use it in small groups. I also plan to make it one of our center workstation hippopotamus choices so that students can use it individually to work with sight words and sentences and word families. And Alive Studios now has their assessments on ESGI. So I'm able to incorporate my number 5 favorite thing, ESGI, with my number 1 favorite thing, Alive Studios and Letters Alive, and bring them together when I'm assessing my students. So that's favorite thing number 1, Letters Alive and Math Alive from my friends at Alive Studios.